What's up, my people? In this video, we're going to be going over the practice final, and we're going to go right into it. I will not be doing all the questions. I'll be doing some from each section so that you at least have an idea of what to do in each section, okay? So let's go ahead and do the domain and range of each of these. And remember, domain is left to right, range is top to bottom. So the domain, the furthest left right here is -5. And remember, that's a closed circle, X, closed circle, and then our farthest right, that's a +5. That's the domain. Oops, that is not D. That's the domain. And then the range is going to be the highest point, which is here, to the lowest point, which is here. So the range, I'm sorry, the lowest point to the highest, I said that backwards. So the lowest point is -3, Y, and then the highest point is 7. Is this a function? Not a function. Because it fails the vertical line test. It fails it right here because that is a vertical line. So it would fail it right there. Okay. Next thing, let's go to number 2. My domain, the furthest left it goes is -6. The furthest right it goes is -6. So my domain is X equals 6. Sorry, -6. And my range has arrows on both sides. The highest point it goes is -infinity. The lowest point it goes is, the lowest it goes is -infinity. The high it goes is +infinity, which means when I have 2 arrows, that's all real numbers. Let's look at the next one. Let's look at number 3. What's the furthest left it goes? Well, when we go to the left part, there's an arrow there. So that means that's -infinity. And arrows always have the open. And I'm going to put the X. The furthest right this goes is 2. So that's a closed, and that's 2 because there's a line there. Okay? And then, but, we don't like those arrows, right? I mean, we don't like those infinity. So this has to go away. So my domain is X is less than or equal to 2. And then the range, what's the lowest this goes? The lowest point is an arrow. That's -infinity. Open circle, Y. The highest it goes is 5. Closed circle. And oh my goodness, another infinity thing we got to get rid of. And there's that. Is this a function? That answer is no, because it fails the vertical line test right here. It touches twice. So not a function. Oh yeah, up here, this is not a function either. A vertical line can't be, it fails it everywhere, right? This is also not a function. And finally, number 4, what's the furthest left this goes? -infinity. Remember, domain is always X. What's the furthest right it goes? Infinity. Which means that from -infinity to +infinity, that means that's all real numbers. Okay? And then the lowest point for the range, the lowest is -5. That's a closed Y. And then the highest point looks like it's this, but it's an arrow there. So that means we have to go to infinity, right? But we don't like infinities. And this is backwards. I got to flip that around. So my domain is negative. My domain is all real numbers. My range is y is greater than or equal to -5. And is this a function? Yes. A function. Okay. Let's keep going. So for here, I'm only going to do one of these. So let's say number 8. Let's do 8. I'm going to call this point A, B, C, D, E. So A is at -2, 4. Point B is at 5, 3. Point C is at 0, -4. And point D is at 3, -4. Hold on. Oops, if that's at 3, -4, that means my last point, 3, -4. That means that this last point is really at -5 then. Oops. That makes that -5. And then E is at 6, -4. And remember our domain, when I have a list of points, I need a list of numbers. So my domain is going to be all of my X values from least to greatest. So I'm going to be looking at my X values. I'm looking at them this way. So my first point I hit is A, so that's going to be -2. My next least value is going to be 0. My next one is going to be 3, then 5, then 6. And then the range is the lowest point all the way up, okay? So we're looking from down here, looking up that way. Okay, so my range, what's the lowest point? Right here. So that's going to start at -5. And I did it again. My E should be at -5. Hold on. I made a boo-boo again. Whoopsie. There. I was just kidding. I was making sure you're paying attention. All right. My range is going to be, we're going to start at -5. I'm going to write it under it, give myself some more space. And then right above it is -4. And then right above that is going to be 3. And then 4. And remember, you do not repeat, don't repeat any of those numbers. All right, let's go down to the next. Let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and solve some of these. I'll go ahead and solve let's do number 10, and then I'll do number 14. So number 10, we have to do the distributive property because I see parentheses. -7 times -5 is a +35. Let's make this bigger. There we go. -7 times 4 is going to be a -28. N equals 231. And then I need to subtract 231. I'm sorry, I got to subtract 35 from both sides. -28 N equals 231 minus 35. And that ends up being 196 after divide both sides by -28. 196 divided by -28 is going to leave me with -7. Okay, that's number 10. Let's drop down here and do number 14 because we haven't seen one like this in a while. So let's go ahead and do it really quick. Again, we're going to distribute first. 8 times 3 is 24, and then that's 24x. 8 times 5 is 40. And then I have this 5x hanging out back here, equals 98. I now need to combine my like terms. 24 plus 5 is going to be 29. So I got to combine this term and this term because they both have x's. I cannot combine the 40 because it doesn't have an x. 24x plus 5x is 29x. Plus this 40 equals 98. When I subtract 40 from both sides, you end up with 29x equals 9 minus 4 is 5, 8 minus 0 is 8. Divide both sides by 29, and your x is going to equal 2. Okay? All right, we're going to keep moving right along. Let's see what section do we have next. Oh, we got to graph the lines. Here we go. I'll go ahead and graph number 16, and I'll graph 18. 16. What is my, I got to identify my M, and I have to identify B. My M is 10 over 3, and B is a positive 5. Okay, so my y-intercept is going to be at 5. And because my M is positive, I should rise 10 and run 3. So that will look like this, rise 10 and run this way. But I ran out of space. So my second option is to go down 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and left 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to use my ruler to make a nice straight line. Perfect. And then if you're not sure, make sure that when you look here, if this right here is positive, my line going left to right, I'm climbing up. That is a positive slope. Those should be the same. If they're not the same, you did something wrong. Okay? And let's do this one. This says y equals -3. If y equals -3, the only line it should touch is y, and it should only touch at -3. Well, where is that? Well, that's down here. And y equals should trigger you to say, hoy, which means that I have a horizontal line. Oops. I probably could have got through and made it straighter, but you got the idea. That is a hoy line, okay? Now, before we move to this section, I gave you guys a table so that you can graph these inequalities. I'm going to graph 3 of them. I'm going to do 19, 20, and 22. Remember, in this section, I gave you guys this table. And I said A, B, D, S. A stands for above, B stands for below, D stands for dotted or dashed, and S stands for solid. So now let's go ahead and jump right in and graph. Excuse me. All right. I only see X. That should trigger me to think Vux. So I have a Vux line, and it has to go through 3, means it's only going to touch X. And this has to be dotted. And if you notice this thing right here, it looks like that, which also tells me which way to shade. So I'm going to shade that way. Okay. Let's go ahead and do 20. Let's go ahead and do number 20. No, I'll let you do number 20. I'll do 22. Oh, that's a y equals. That is a y equals. So that should trigger you to think what? Hopefully you said hoy. And hoy is horizontal at 1. And this is a solid line. And this says y is less than or equal to 1. And that is a below. So we're going to shade this way. Okay. Let's move right on. I don't want this video to be too long. Write the slope-intercept form of the equation of each line given the slope and the y-intercept. All right, so I'll do, these are easy ones. Remember, to the slope-intercept form of an equation is going to be y equals mx plus b. We need this one right here. You still have to do it. I just need the space to write. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, b is your y-intercept. So that translates to this particular question. Y equals 6x plus 5. That's all you have to do. All right, this next couple sections. Now, when I scribble out a question, that doesn't mean that you don't have to do it. That just means that you have to. I just need the space. Okay, so I'm going to do questions. I'm going to do question 30. So I got to distribute. You can either distribute first or you can bring this one over here first. It's up to you. So I'll do 29 and 30 so that you can see when I do both. All right. So I'll do 29 first. So 29, I'm going to bring the 3 over now. Oops. I meant to cross this out. Now, as is, I can type y equals negative 2 thirds x minus 3 into Desmos, and it'll give me what I need. Okay? But that's not how I want this. All right? And then so I'm going to write this equation right up here. Pretend that's not there because I need more space to write. Y equals negative 2 thirds x minus 3. Go ahead and distribute that. Y equals negative 2 thirds x. Now remember when we do these, you got to do negative 2. This negative 2 times the negative 3. And that's going to be positive 6. Positive 6 divided by 3 is positive 2. And then finally, I do 2 minus 3. And 2 minus 3 is negative 1. This is the answer I'm looking for. Now, I'm going to tell you now that you will probably get stuck on 28. That's why I'm not going to do it. I want you to work a little bit. All right. Now, number 30, I'm going to go ahead and distribute this. I'm going to do my distributive part. So negative 1/4 x, that's going to equal negative 1/4 x. And then negative 1/4 times 4. Well, negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 4 is still negative 1. Now I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Y equals negative 1/4 x minus 2. And that's the answer I'm looking for number 30. Oh, now, oh my goodness. So I'm going to do number 32 and number 34. But I'm going to cross these out for right now so I can use this space over here. So you still have to do this. I'm just not going to do them right now. So this is number 32 over here. So before we can do these, remember we have the equation y2 So change that. Let me see where I can write this. Y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. That's the equation that we're going to be using. And remember, we have to fill in these blanks. The y1 blank, we got to fill in this right here, and we got to fill in this back here. So remember how I start. I write this out, and I just leave the blanks. Y minus something equals something, parenthesis x minus something else. And then remember, based on, so it goes to 0, 0. So 0 is going to go here. 0 is going to go there. My slope is 3. So y minus 0 is just y. X minus 0 is just x. So in other words, this is just y equals 3x. Okay? This is the answer to that one. All right, next one, number 34. So remember, we're still trying to do y minus blank equals blank, parenthesis x minus blank. And remember, this is x1, y1. So our y1 is going to be negative 2. Our x1 is going to be 3. And our slope is 1 over 7. This is because y. So this is y plus 2 equals 1/7 x minus 3. Okay. Then we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. That's 1/7 x minus 3 minus 2. And then I want you to distribute 1/7 x. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3 divided by 7. It's still negative 3/7 because we can't reduce that. I will let you submit your answer to me like this because that is desmosable. And I'll give you a hint. You're going to end up with an answer like this up here on number 28. And then I'm going to just do one of these down here. And so we can get this video over with. And if you have any other questions, you can do some more research or reach out to me. All right. So I'm going to, not that. I'm going to go ahead and cover this because I'm going to need the space. And I'm going to do number 38. So I'm going to just use the space over here. When I have 2 points and I don't have a slope yet, I need to find the slope first and then put in my y2 minus y1. And I'm not going to use this one. So I'm just going to cover this out right now too. All right. x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember my slope formula? M equals y2 is 1. Y1 is 3. X2 is negative 3. And X1 is 2. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 3 minus 2, negative 5. So in other words, it's just 2/5. Okay. And then from there, we just, pick a point because we still got to use the y2. So we got to use the y minus something equals something, parenthesis x minus something else. Okay. So my y, pick a point. I'm going to pick the negative 3 and 1 point because that just seems good, right? So negative 3 is going to go in my x2 spot. So my negative 3 is going to go here where my x is. And my y2 spot is going to go over here with the 1 because I chose this point to use. And then my slope is 2/5. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I'm going to take that. Yeah, let's go ahead and distribute. 2/5 times x is 2/5 x. 2/5 times, oh, this comes positive 3, double signs. And 2 times 3 is 6 divided by 5. It doesn't go in evenly, so I'm going to leave it at 6/5. That equals y minus 1. And then I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Y equals 2/5 x plus 6/5 plus 1. I will allow you to leave that on your test, but I want you to, while you're practicing this, when you run into issues like this right here, and when you run into issues like the one right here, plug it into Desmos and get the fraction out, and you can plug that in, okay? Because let's see if any of these, so yeah, the other one should come out smooth, I think. Most of them should come out smooth, okay? Now, if you have any more questions, go ahead and reach out to me or mine. If not, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.